Hey there, Twisters, and welcome back to my Ugliest Jerseys of All Time series. So, you may have seen the nominees video that I put out just the other day, but now I'm going to actually get into filtering this down to the ugliest most sweaters of all time. And we're going to start with the Bobby Clarke division. So, each division will have 16 teams, kind of mimicking each region in the March Madness bracket. So, we've got this handsome lad here, Bobby Clarke, and we're going to see which jersey stands out as the ugliest out of these 16 right here. So make sure that you're following along with this series. If you haven't already, hit the red subscribe button down below, as well as the notifications bell. That way you know when we look at the next piece of the bracket. Okay, my friends, so without further ado, let's get into this. Okay, so first things first, we've got the 1920 Hamilton Tigers going up against the 1995 Boston Bruins Pooh Bear jersey. Hamilton Tigers, those really weird yellow and black stripes there, and just the patch logo. I'm not really liking that so much. But the Bruins, I mean, you're deviating from the Spoke B for the first time in a long time, and let's just say the Bruin itself is not very intimidating. He's got really small eyes too. Then you got that big old Bruins on the side. That seems pretty awkward right there. So even though Hamilton is not the most attractive of jerseys, at least it's somewhat a look that we saw in that era. So I'm going to go ahead and vote the Pooh Bear Bruins to move to the next round. Now we're going with the Kansas City Scouts coming up against the 2013 Buffalo Sabres Turd Burger. Now with the Kansas City Scouts, I didn't like this one because I'm not a huge fan of the logo, and the color scheme doesn't really seem, I don't know, I don't like having all three primary colors together like that so much. I just think it's a little awkward looking. The Colorado Rockies did a nicer job with the actual logo that they used. And then Buffalo, having a yellow jersey is definitely a bold move, Cotton, but the weird gray and the crop on it with the navy shoulders, and it makes it look like they're wearing a cape. To me, that has to go through to the next round because that thing is pretty butt ugly, I gotta say. Sabres, you deserve much better than that. Next up, we've got the 2006 Anaheim Ducks going up against the 2002 Philadelphia Flyers. Now this is a little difficult because the Ducks did a whole different rebrand, different logo, different colors, that's for sure. And yeah, here we got Teemu Selanne. He looks actually not so bad in that, but nonetheless, I mean, it has nothing, it can't hold a candle to the Mighty Ducks. And the Flyers, this was the lone jersey I chose because I just don't like the way that they ruined that logo. Look at this beautiful logo right here. How dare you do something like that? Anyway, if I have to choose between the two, I thought I would go with the Ducks on this one just because, the color's just so uninspiring when you compare it to the Mighty Ducks. But, looking at the jersey as a whole, I kind of like the numbers on them. And, yeah, the logo isn't much to look at, but the kind of band around the waist is at least different. It's unique, or at least it kind of reminds me of the Mighty Ducks. Whereas the Flyers, they butchered the logo, and there's really nothing special or different about this jersey in terms of comparing it with all the other iterations of the Flyers jersey. So I'm going to actually put the Flyers ahead to the next round. Now we've got the New Jersey Devils, the current jersey of theirs, going up against the 01 Vancouver Canucks alternate. Now I chose this Devils version because to me, I don't like their transition from Reebok to Adidas. However, it's not like the worst jersey I've ever seen. It's just not quite my favorite design for that franchise. Whereas the Canucks here, they're committing a few different fouls. First of all, this gradient thing that's coming from the waist, I don't understand. It's just kind of a weird color combination to me. I've never liked dark blue and red in hockey together. I don't think that always looks good. And just kind of some weird, the piping's not that bad, but just the logo against that red, it just looks atrocious. So I'm definitely pushing that through to round number 2. Then we've got the 2008 Ottawa Senators alternate going up against the 2019 Carolina Hurricanes road jersey. Now let's start with the Canes here because the owner had said that he wanted to have a different road jersey going into the 1920 season. And I said, okay, that's pretty admirable. The Canes, they got a pretty sweet looking home jersey. I like that transition to Adidas that they made. But then they came out with this. You tried to copy the Rangers. The Avs did it for a while. The Penguins did it for a while. And that's it. They only held up for a few years. So I don't see the Hurricanes always going with this because, again, that font, there's nothing unique to that. It doesn't look like that Rangers font, which is much more defined, I think. but it does have that pattern going across the waist, and I definitely like that for consistency, and I don't mind the shoulder logos that much either. Whereas the Sens, I mean, this is all over the place. Those Senators jerseys have the weird striping on the arms. It just says Sens across it. I mean, Canes isn't much better, but really, you can't even put Senators. I don't know. I think that they're both pretty bad, but in this case, yeah, I think just from a pure design standpoint, I'm going to say the Senators is more ugly, so they're moving on to round 2. Then we look at the 1923 Hamilton Tigers, and that's compared or going up against the 2008 alternate for the Phoenix Coyotes. I'm not really a fan of just that coyote there. I mean, it's a nice looking graphic, sure, but it's not very like intimidating. It's not looking at the camera or not looking at the viewer, I guess. There's really no good striping here. It just looks kind of bland here. I'm just not really a fan of it. And it's got 2 different shoulder logos. I'm just noticing that there. That's kind of awkward. You know, when you've got one, you got the paw print and then the coyote on there. To me, it's just pretty darn bland. But the Hamilton Tigers, I mean, I just can't stomach looking at this in comparison. Just look at this bumblebee overkill of stripes. I know that was kind of the style back then, but all that yellow and black, it's just definitely an eyesore, I think. So by a slim margin, I will put the Hamilton Tigers into the next round. Then we've got the 2014 Tampa Bay Lightning Bolts jersey, and that's going up against the 1946 New York Rangers. So the Rangers, their text does not belong like that, or doesn't belong in an arch like that. Now, I know that some teams used to do that, but the Rangers had been using the diagonal font for a long time. They switched to this one, and that to me just was a bit of a faux pas, if you don't mind me saying so. And then the Bolts, you've got bolts, and you've got a good shoulder logo. I think if you put the shoulder logo in the center, that would be a little bit more interesting. And you don't really got anything going on other than a little blue collar there. So purely because at least the Rangers has the colors and looks like it belongs in that family of jerseys, whereas Tampa's, it's not doing it for me. Tampa, you're moving on to the next round. And then we've got the 2017 Stadium Series for the Blackhawks against the 1999 Ottawa Senators. So here with the Hawks, this is the ugliest jersey I found in their collection, and it was hard just to pick this one because to me it's really not that ugly. I like the 4 Chicago stars on the collar there. I wasn't a huge fan of the shoulder yoke, but then again, it is different for them. So even though it's not ugly, at least they tried deviating somewhat. Yeah, so I don't really have too much bad to say against it. But for the Ottawa Senators here, look, I don't mind the color scheme. I don't mind the arm stripes seem okay, or the arm bands. And then they've got this Scooby-Doo logo, as Shannon likes to say. Yeah, it's just a really awkward looking centurion, if you will. And then you've got that really weird band that goes around the lower section of the torso there. If it were like a straight, like Montreal, a straight line across, I probably wouldn't even think to put this in there. But because of that, I don't know what they're looking to achieve here. So I'm going to move that to round 2. Okay, I'll let you have a look at the updated bracket now that we're done with round 1. All right, and now let's proceed with round number 2. So we've got the 2008 Ottawa Senators going up against the 1995 Boston Bruins. Oh boy. So here you got this actual logo, or something that's a little bit more mascot worthy for the Bruins with this bear. And then you've got this nothing for Ottawa here. That text, it hasn't been used. That font hasn't been used in their franchise to my recollection at least. So that definitely is kind of a ding. I kind of like the Ottawa numbers though. I think that actually works. The Bruins, again, I just don't like that really weird text over the arms. And not to mention, I mean, that jagged shoulder yoke, that's just, that's brutal, man. Ottawa, again, has those weird stripes, but then, yeah, I mean, the Bruins still have that weird jagged design along the sleeves and the waist, too. I gotta go with the Bruins on this one. I mean, the Senators, yeah, it's kind of bland, but, I mean, at least they're not committing any terrible faux pas in the striping so much. I mean, under the arms, maybe a little bit, but yeah, Boston is going to the Sweet 16. Okay, now we've got the 1923 Hamilton Tigers against the 2013 Buffalo Sabres alternate. Man, this one's actually pretty tough because Hamilton, if you saw that today on the ice, I mean, you would get up out of your seat and head straight to the washroom there. Yeah, he used washroom because Hamilton. Buffalo, though, I mean, that is just not a good looking color. And there's no real striping to it either. There's this shoulder yoke that looks like a cape. I mean, granted, we've seen the Boston Bruins and maybe other teams in recent time go with those vertical stripes down the arms, or I guess stripes down the arms. Not like Hamilton. That thing's overkill. Man, it's tough to call this one. Honestly, it is. But at the end of the day, I can stomach yellow and black together, but this yellow and gray and the numbers too for Boston, those look pretty gross. Or excuse me, for Buffalo, look pretty gross. So going to the Sweet 16, that's the Sabres. Okay, now we've got the 2014 Tampa Bay Lightning against the 2002 Philadelphia Flyers. Again, got a real logo versus just text here. Ooh. You know, at least the Flyers still maintain their colors. At least the design of the jersey isn't anything to scoff at so much. You still got, you know, the classic colors. You still got a pretty normal looking design there. Whereas with Tampa, you don't have any. You have a white stripe down the arms and to the collar or whatever. That's it. You've got a nice looking shoulder logo, I'll say that, but it's hardly even visible with, you know, dark blue on a black jersey like that. So I'm gonna say Tampa moves to the Sweet 16. And then here we've got the 2001 Vancouver Canucks and the 1999 Ottawa Senators. And in this case, I can't not pick Vancouver here. As goofy as Ottawa's kind of looks, I mean, everybody at that time was doing something goofy anyway. And I know Vancouver was just 2 years later, but that gradient is like, it's almost like you spilled something on the jersey. And I just don't like those colors when matched up with Ottawa. So Vancouver moves to the Sweet 16. So go ahead and take a look at the bracket here, and I'm just going to shuffle things around on my end. Okay, so now we're at the third round here, and we've got 4 teams left, or 4 jerseys. And we'll start with the Tampa Bay Lightning against the Boston Bruins. So the 14 Lightning against the 95 Bruins. 2 very different jerseys, so that's why this is a difficult decision here. Again, Boston just totally getting away from anything that makes their original 6 franchise classic and just going full 90s with it. And then Tampa, less is more apparently to them, even though their mascot is lightning and you can do a lot more with it. Boy, I don't know. What is an uglier hockey jersey? An uglier NHL hockey jersey? Well, you know, the Bruins, this is just a great big furry disappointment. Absolutely. This brown bear with a yellow and black scheme doesn't quite look good to me. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot wrong with it. Absolutely. But even though it's ugly, I mean, come on. It's at least interesting. At least something's happening with it. Whereas Tampa is just bolts. Like, you could just write scrotum. Why don't you just do that? There's nothing unique about that at all. They don't do like any, there's no like lightning bolt in the font or anything like that, you know? I just think it's too bland. And to me, bland is just as ugly as this hot mess that is the Bruins jersey. So with that said, I know some people won't like me for this, but Tampa is going to the next round. Now we've got Vancouver against Buffalo. So Vancouver 2001, this gradient here with this, again, what I think is a weird color scheme. Just really out of place, it seems. And then Buffalo, you've got this attempt at using the secondary color and changing things up by removing the stripes. And yeah, that's what we got with this here turd burger. So, in this case, Vancouver, the gradient, yeah, looking back on it, I don't like it, but they're not the only team who did that. You know, look at the Burger King jersey, right? Which definitely we'll be talking about later. You know, I like the numbers okay, with the silver there, it looks like. That looks pretty good, I guess. And yeah, I mean, it's still like a normally designed hockey jersey with the exception of the gradient. And yeah, I guess the logo still has enough contrast with the water in it. It's ugly, don't get me wrong. But the Buffalo one, I mean, man, you couldn't sell that at a Costco for $20. That thing is just butt ugly. Buffalo goes to the Elite 8. So that means our Elite 8 matchup here to determine the champion of the Bobby Clarke bracket. We've got the 2014 Tampa Bay Lightning and the 2013 Buffalo Sabres. I didn't expect to see these two here. At least not Tampa. Well, at the end of the day, if you're presenting, let's say you got two teams, right? They just met each other and they're gonna play a scrimmage. And you go rock, paper, scissors to see who gets a first pick of jerseys. Which jersey do you think is going to get picked first? I think that the rec team is going to pick the Tampa jersey. So that means that the ugliest jersey in the Bobby Clarke bracket, or the Bobby division, is the 2013 Buffalo Sabres turd burger. Okay, so that's gonna do it. Let me know in the comments below which jersey you would have representing the beautiful Bobby Clarke's division here. And get ready because we've got 3 more of these to go with 3 more aptly named divisions. All right, my friends, so stick around for the rest of the series. Make sure that you hit the notifications bell and, of course, subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you're enjoying this series. Big thumbs up if you did, and I'll see you again soon for more March Madness here.